Hi, welcome to my next video. This is the third video of the series in which I'm showing you how I make my manga, my comic, which is called Yuragi. I make the comic mostly traditionally. The pages are made using only pencils and watercolors. I use Photoshop only to do sketches of the pages, so the first, as Japanese call it, name, so it's a storyboard. And I also use Photoshop to edit the scanned pages and to put the lines, the scanned lines, on top of the painted pages to make them more visible. But the whole painting and drawing is done only using pencils and watercolors. In the previous part I showed you how I color a page when the colors don't change so much over all the frames. Most of them are the same, so to make it simple I just paint the page all at once. But here I wanted to show you some example of frames that are completely different than the surrounding pages, so I just concentrate on this one frame and paint it like I would paint an illustration. Doing a frame like this is kind of time consuming, but at the same time it's really satisfying because it's like a small watercolor illustration inside of the comic. I can show my skills a little bit and play with the background because for example, these two frames were mostly background. The first one is a dilapidated garden behind the main character's house, and it actually requires a lot of work, and making it clean again is one of the main points of the story. I tried to make it as cluttered as possible with a lot of weird trees and weird bushes and a fence that was almost consumed by the forest behind the character's house. The second one is a small train station and a train in front of the main character's house, and you actually can see him standing there. And this scene is actually based on a small train line near Enoshima that's called Enoden. I went to do some location hunting there a few years ago and I took some photos. I based my comics location on those photos, but actually we moved from Tokyo to Enoshima, to near Enoshima with Kana recently, so now I can just go there and see this location again just using my bicycle. This is really interesting. So during the location hunting I saw a house that you actually had to go onto the tracks and walk a little bit to get to the entrance. And I liked this idea so much that I decided to make it the main character's house. I mean, it's a perfect reason for all kinds of weird situations, so why not use it? The funny thing is that when we were looking for an apartment near Kamakura, we were shown a house just like this, so you had to go onto the tracks to get to the house, to the entrance. It had no garden though. Okay, so for the first background I just went straight through and painted from the lightest colors to the shadows. I just cheated a little bit because I used a little bit of white paint mixed with watercolors to do these really tiny branches and leaves here and there. And I used some masking fluid first with my pen nib to do those weird plants in the background. I just painted them later a little bit green so they don't stand out so much. But for the second background I used a different approach. I wanted the shadows to be more concise here, so first I painted all the lights, all the bright colors, so all the places where there's still light, and then I used the same color mixture to do almost all the shadows at once. So it gave me a little bit more of a flat look I was looking for. And when this shadow was dry, I added a second layer to make the really dark parts stand out. What's more, this is a nice technique because it allows to give the shadow a little bit of a color gradient. Okay, so for the last part of this video I chose a recording of me painting in real time. Most of the recordings I make are made using time-lapse software on my iPhone because just recording everything in real time would take too much memory on my iPhone and it takes a lot of time to edit them afterwards. But sometimes I pick interesting places and record the video in real time. And here I wanted to show you, as I paint the inside of the train, how I make mistakes and how I fix them sometimes with tissue paper, how I use tissue paper to do some effects also. Sometimes I realize halfway through painting a particular wash that this place is too dark, that I painted it too dark. so I use tissue paper to pick the paint from the paper while it's still wet. Sometimes I do it on purpose, but most of the times I do it because I just realized that something is wrong. And here also, half the way through, I decided that the driver inside of the cab of the train is too dark, so I used the tissue paper to pick some paint off the paper and made this place a little bit lighter, because the light should reflect from the glass of the window here. Okay, so the painting is nearly done. You'll be able to see it in more details when the comic is published. I will be also posting more videos from this project, including the digital edition of the pages in Photoshop. If you want to know more about the tools I'm using in this project, you can go to my website and I have a big long article about the tools there. There's also a new section about how to support me and how to buy my stuff through internet, because I opened a new Tigtail webshop and a Patreon page recently, and I'm pleased to announce that we are really close to getting to the first goal I set, so I'm really happy and would like to thank all of you. Feel free to comment, share and subscribe. See you in the next video. Bye!